I'm going to show you the exact steps to make £10,000 a month with Airbnb. No gimmicks, no tricks, just real life strategies that are working today. So first of all, if you're completely new to this space, I'm going to introduce the concept of something called service accommodation and how it's really different from the traditional renting or the Airbnb hosted. So this is service accommodation management. Now here's the thing, when I came into this space, I was coming from a position where I really had to make something work. I was coming from a corporate job, 9 to 5, getting paid for my time. Well, actually not getting paid exactly for my time because I was working a lot of overtime. 80 hours plus every single week. But what happened was my mom went into intensive care. She had COVID. She was in a ventilator, messed my head up. I wanted some time to be able to support my family, be there for my family. And, just the way that I was made to feel was, the sentiment was basically, your clients need you. Which meant, just suck it up, focus on your job because your clients need you. And for me, that was just an alarm bell to say, this has to be the end. This has to be the end. My partner was pregnant at the time. I had my daughter on the way. And it just made me think, what happens if this was my daughter? What happens if my daughter was in a situation where she needed me? And obviously I'm going to tell my job to get stopped. But what I'm doing now is I'm risking the exact thing that's allowing me to look after my family. I'm going to put that at risk. I didn't want to be in that situation. I decided right there and then that I was never going to work for someone again, that I had to build something now before she came into this world to ensure that I was never ever put in that situation. So this was the foundation of me going into this space, right? So I had to make this work. I've always believed in the power of mentorship. So I knew that I had to get some education in this space to learn how to do this. So I invested in mentorship. I watched some webinars. I saw some people, okay, you know what? These people sound like they know what they're talking about. Let me invest in this so I can learn how all of this actually works. So I did that and something happened straight away. If you're new to this space, then what you would realize is a lot of people talk about this thing called rent-to-rent service accommodation. In America, it's called rental arbitrage. So that means you're renting a property from a landlord and you're making sure that you've got a contract in place that allows you to sublet the property. What you then do is you design the property, you make it look nice, you then put that property on Airbnb, and then you start to make the money. So the difference between what you have to pay the landlord for rent, what you have to pay for bills, and what you actually generate from Airbnb is what you get to keep as profit. Now, all of this sounds good, but what I was seeing was a lot of these people who were already in this academy, who were already a year in front of me, 2 years in front of me, I see these people struggling. I see these people haven't actually managed to make anything of this strategy. They haven't made any money. And I was trying to understand the reasons why. And these were in people that were in similar situations to me, meaning they didn't really have that much money to do this. They didn't have good credit. The credit was actually affecting them, which meant when they tried to go through agents, then they were doing the referencing, they were failing referencing, and they weren't able to secure properties on that one front, but also on the front of, having to invest, £4,000 to £8,000 per property to really make this work. This is just money I didn't have. The scale that I needed to scale to, minimum was 6 figures that we had to make to really make this make sense. So the scale that I was looking to scale to, I didn't have money to be spending £4,000 to £8,000 on each individual property. Like, we're talking about a huge amount of investment. And this would have to be over a short period of time as well. I had to make this work. So for me, I knew this just wasn't going to work. So I started looking at, okay, well, how else can I do this? How can people do this without any money? Now, just taking things back a little bit, my first foray into work actually was as an estate agent. When I dropped out of uni, I went to the high street of Southampton. I handed out my CVs to all of these estate agencies, eventually managed to get a job with one of them. And I just started thinking, well, when we were renting our properties from landlords, we didn't have to pay rent to the landlord or pay a deposit or furnish their properties. Why are these guys going about this in this way then? Because for me, I knew I didn't want to start with the rent-to-rent model because I'm seeing all these people who are already ahead of me who've got the same problem I've got and they're not able to make it work. So what's the point of thinking I'm 10 times smarter than these people? I'm not saying I couldn't have cracked it, but I did not have time to waste. I had to make this work very, very quickly. So I said, what were we doing as estate agents back then? Well, we were just managing it for the landlords. That's what we were doing. So we were taking on this property. We're saying to the landlords, hey, we're going to find you the tenants. We're going to, any maintenance issues, we're going to handle it. You still have to pay for it, but we're going to take care of all of that. You don't have to worry. So hang on. Well, why can't we do the same here then? Because I'm looking at it and thinking, well, if I'm just managing it for the landlord, they're going to pay me a service. They're going to pay me for my service. I'm going to be able to make them more money than what they're going to get from just renting the property out, because that's exactly what rent-to-rent is. The reason why rent-to-rent works is because in a location that works, once we've done the analysis, in a location that works, we know we're able to pay the rent plus the bills, and there's still enough for us to actually make a profit. So that means, well, some of that profit is going to be going to them instead of all of it going to the renter, which would be me. But this time, I'm actually managing it for the landlord. This kind of makes sense for them. Why is no one doing this? Okay, let me just go and do some research and make sure, I'm not sitting there thinking I've cracked this crazy code and actually there's a reason why no one's doing it. I go and do some research, and then I realize the biggest players in this space are doing management. Some of these coaches and mentors who were teaching people to do rent-to-rent are doing management. Hang on, so why are you not telling people to do this? Because what they want to do is tell you, oh yeah, you could just get one property and make £1,000, £2,000 from each property, and then you secure 3 properties. That's it, you've changed your life. Instead of saying, well, build a business properly, you're making £500, £600, £700 per property, but actually by the time you get to 10 properties, that's £5,000, £10,000, but you're building a solid business where you're not needing to fork out £4,000 to £8,000 per each individual property. It's going to be easier for you to scale because the value proposition to the landlords just makes a lot more sense. So they're going to be wanting to work with you because guess what? There's something in it for them. So those same resistance that you're getting from landlords, which is, I don't really want to do this, is someone not going to damage my property, all of this, that's because there's nothing in it for them. But when something becomes in it for them, which means they get to make money out of this, they're going to get an increased revenue from the property and still have flexibility to use their property when they want, as well as all of the tax benefits in the back end, legislative benefits, that a lot of people, again, don't talk about. So imagine you're a landlord, you've got a property, someone is renting this property from you, and because they're renting it from you, even though they're using your property as a serviced accommodation, you don't benefit from all of the tax benefits that you would get if you were running that property as a service accommodation yourself, just because of the contract that you've got. By flipping that contract to a management contract, all of a sudden, you get tax breaks. You get, depending if you qualify, you can actually write off the interest on your mortgage. So that in itself is just thousands of pounds every single year. If you've been running your property as a service accommodation for 2 years, you're going to get some relief on capital gains tax in terms of how much you pay for capital gains tax. So there's all of these extra benefits that you're missing out on, thousands and thousands and potentially tens of thousands of pounds just because you've got the wrong contract. So when I understood this, I was like, wow, this is crazy. Went out into the marketplace and just scaled rapidly. Went from zero to over £100,000 in under 12 months. Because it's all about the offer that you bring into the marketplace. What is it that you're offering them? So when there's someone else that's offering the rent-to-rent and that's in isolation, it might sound like a good deal because you know what, you're guaranteeing my rent for the next 3 years, you're going to be handling the maintenance issues. But when you're not comparing that and there's something else to compare it against, which is what I was not doing, because I was going to agents and going, hey, I would never work with this rent-to-rent guys. Why would you do that? So these were agents that were telling me that they didn't want to do service accommodation. I said, hey, I understand where you're coming from. I would not want to work with these guys because what's the value in it for you and what's the value in it for your clients? This doesn't make sense. That's why we are coming into this market space with a new strategy where we are delivering that incredible amount of value to your landlords. So we're going to make you look good because you're the one bringing this proposition to them where they get to make more money from their property. The property is still going to get looked after because of the nature of our business. But guess what? We're going to bottle your hands as well. So you're going to continue to get your normal management fee without having to do anything at all. So I'm making offers to all these people, to the agents, to the landlords. They're all happy. So they're more than happy to refer business to me. And that's the reason why we were able to scale so rapidly, right? And it's literally that simple. So now, because we're not having to invest all of this money into these properties, it means every single property that we want to take on is just about, do the landlords want to work with us? I don't now have to worry about, okay, the landlords really want to work with us. I'm really excited, but now I've got to find, £4,000. I've got to find 6K. I've got to find 10K. We don't have that anxiety. We're able to just take on properties and we're able to move very quickly to the market, because the landlords, these are professionals, they already have properties, they're already happy to invest. So once they understand how things work and we say, okay, well, this property needs a couple £1,000 of work, this property just needs some paint, and it's also cheaper for them, because guess what, they're not having to pay rent, they're not having to pay the deposit. All they're having to do is say, okay, is there some furniture that the property needs? Do we need to paint the property, which they would need to do if they were renting it out to a traditional tenant anyway. They need to paint the property, bring it up to scratch, and then we just need to get the right furniture for the property. So the actual cost of entry is lower for the landlords as well. So their friction level is lower, because don't forget, they're making this investment, but it is an investment because they're going to be seeing the returns very, very quickly, because what they're going to be getting back every single month is more than what they were getting from the rental. And this is how we're able to scale from zero to over £100,000 a year in under 12 months, and how you can do the exact same thing as well. So just look at what the marketplace is doing and do something different. Now, as long as there's something different, there's a market for it, because that's what kind of scared me initially to start with. I thought, why is no one else doing this? Why is no one else talking about this? Maybe I think I've stumbled onto something that I think I know, but actually I don't know. So let me go and do the research. And just doing the research blew my mind. There is no company that's got, more than 30 units that's not doing management. Nonsense. I would even go as far as say more than 20 units that's not doing management. But they're all selling you rent to rent, but they are all doing management on the back end, because this is the way that you're able to scale predictably and affordably and actually make it a real solid business that you can really build and sustain over a longer period of time. So look, I hope you've enjoyed that. So that is the exact same strategy that you can use to start making £10,000 a month every single month, from just zero to focusing on adding value. And if you want me to go over the step-by-step process of how you can do this in another video, just comment step-by-step below in this video, and I will make sure I do that. And if you found this video valuable, then just let me know as well, because I want to start creating more content like this. I've had an epiphany recently. I don't know if you guys have seen, I've got a completely free training on how to actually build a service accommodation business, about a 5-hour training. It's completely free. It's on YouTube now that you can just go and watch. So if you haven't seen that video, go and watch that video. You can learn how to do this. But I've had an epiphany recently, because I've been doing this coaching and mentoring, charging people a lot of money, and just realized, well, the people who I was called to serve, people who were in a similar situation to me, people who want to whoever leave the 9 to 5 because they feel stuck, because they don't feel like they've got autonomy, they don't have the freedom to do what they want, when they want, whenever they want. Those are the people I want to serve. The people who are just like me, 10, 12 years ago. Maybe they were not homeless like I was, but maybe they're just coming from a vulnerable situation where, they don't have the financial resources. Maybe they've got bad credit from previous, mistakes that they've made, and they're just looking for an opportunity to start. How can those people actually get off the ground? Those are the people who I'm really here to serve. So I want to start creating more content every single week and just giving as much value as possible, because it's possible for everyone. It's possible if we're dedicated and willing to put in the work, because nothing comes easy. You've got to put the graft in, you've got to do the work, but as long as you're willing to do all of that, then it's possible for every single person here to have the success that they want in their life. So go out there and make it happen. But what I'll do, so just comment below if you want me to go the step-by-step process of how you can do it, not over a 5-hour video, but just more of a condensed, maybe 10-15 minute video. Then just comment step-by-step below, and I will get that video made for you. But aside from that, please don't forget to subscribe. Let's make this channel big. Let's make it blow. Let's build and grow a community together, because over the next coming weeks, over the next coming months, I'm going to be dropping at least 2 videos every single week, just giving pure value of how you guys can go out there and build, really, really good businesses for yourselves as well. And, start to live your life of autonomy. Start to live your life because that's what you want to do, and not what you have to do because you're in a 9 to 5 and because you have to adhere to, to the policies of your bosses or to the companies that you work for. You can grab freedom by the scruff of the neck. It's there for you right now. And this industry is only just started. It is absolutely growing at a really, really rapid pace. So go out there, make it happen for yourself. Don't forget to like this video if you have liked it, if you feel like you got some value from it, and subscribe to the channel so you can get alerted whenever we have new videos like this. I will see you all on the other side.